just crawl up and weep, begging God to let me die. I did not want to keep living. On the outside, I would smile and fake everything, but inside, I was dying. And then a close friend of mine said, "Schalee, I think that your husband is emotionally and spiritually abusing you, and I want to know what you think about that." For me, that was the moment that I was set free.
Sometimes the hardest truth is the one we haven't said out loud. There are moments in life when everything looks fine from the outside. You are smiling, you're functioning, you're showing up for everyone around you. But inside you're exhausted. You don't know how much longer you can carry the weight. And maybe the hardest part isn't pain itself. Maybe it's believing that nobody would understand, that you have to figure it out alone. But what if one conversation could change everything? What if the way back to yourself begins when someone finally sees what you've been hiding? Get ready to reclaim your life, discover inspiring stories, practical tools, and the path to true happiness. This is Reclaim Your Life with Irina. Let's begin the journey. Welcome to Reclaim Your Life with Irina. Today we have a special guest, Schalee Sanchez. She's a fun-loving encourager whose contagious joy brightens every place she enters. She's joining us today from Texas. She is also a mom of 4 teenagers and an author of The Humanity You Want and the World Needs, 7 transformative tools for personal growth to develop inspiring leadership, improve relationships, and attain inner peace. Welcome, Schalee. It's a pleasure to have you.
Irina, thank you so much for inviting me to be a guest on your fantastic podcast. I am so grateful to be here today with you.
Thank you. Thank you. If you were to describe yourself in your own words, what would you say?
I am an encourager who loves getting to see other people succeed and do what they thought was impossible. I always am looking for an opportunity to have fun. And at the same time, I have an introverted side of me that likes to be still and quiet and by myself at moments to balance everything out in life.
Awesome. You've been described as a bright light and a natural encourager. Has there been a time in your life when you lost that light, and what helped you find it again?
Yes, there actually was a very specific moment that I was in a place of hopelessness. It was a very dark place for me. And to describe what that felt like and the experience that I had, it led me to go into my bathroom in one moment, just crawl up and weep, begging God to let me die. I did not want to keep living. I was in a place that I felt like I was dying inside. And on the outside, because I had 4 kids and I wanted to be positive and I didn't want them to feel like that anything was broken or falling apart, I would smile and, fake everything on the outside, but inside I was dying and I didn't see a way out. I had no idea how to get from a place of feeling hopeless to a place where I felt alive again. I actually thought it was impossible. And in that moment, I was so it was a very, very dark moment for me, that I still very vividly remember.
Yeah, totally. And what happened, like, I call it, once you come out of it, or what caused you to kind of come out of that moment?
Well, like I said, I begged God to let me die. He didn't do that, but he did help me get to a place where he showed me a light. He showed me a way out. And the way that that occurred was a close friend of mine invited me over to her house, and I went over to her house often, so it wasn't out of the ordinary for me to sit across from her on the couch and just chat and have a good time. But that day, she had a very different purpose for inviting me, and I found out very quickly as she sat there across from me and said, "Hey, I want to ask you something. And I understand that this is going to be very difficult for you. And so I have taken a lot of time to prep for this." And she said, "Shalii, I think that your husband is emotionally and spiritually abusing you, and I want to know what you think about that. For me, that was the moment that I was set free. I was able for the first time to tell another human being that I was being abused. And because she gave me a safe place to say that out loud, it allowed that light to break through. And I sat there and wept on the couch with her, and she embraced me. And it was in that moment that she said, "What is the next step for you?" And I said, "I need to tell someone else. I need to start telling people." So the next step was to tell another close friend, and then I told another friend, and that led to eventually being able to completely leave the relationship. And it all happened very quickly. That was on a Wednesday, and by the next Friday, the kids and I were gone.
Wow.
And I'm so grateful for my friend having the courage to invite me over and to ask me the hard question. And I know that she was really nervous about asking me that question, but it was a result of her courage that I then found the courage to do what I needed to do and had been wanting to do for a long time, but I wasn't able to see how I could do it, and I was scared. I honestly the threats that I had received and the things that I had been told, I was afraid to tell anyone. I was scared for myself, I was scared for my kids, and I found out that it actually was possible, and I'm so grateful for that moment.
Wow, awesome. And yeah, thank you to your friend to being there for
Yes,
you in that moment
absolutely.
and being the safe place that allowed you to open up and start the process of getting back to yourself. What were the three biggest lessons you learned as a result of that moment?
The first thing is that we're not alone. And so often in life, we have that feeling of being alone, and we have to push through it ourselves and figure it out on ourselves, by ourselves. And we are always connected to other people. We are always connected to people who have been through what we've been through or people who can provide a safe place for us. Like my friend, she hadn't been through what I had been through, but she intentionally got feedback and input and resources from people who had been in emotionally abusive relationships so that she would know how to help me. And so knowing that that is available, knowing that that is out there, knowing that there are other people who can understand even though the dynamics of all of our situations are unique and none of us live the exact same story, but there are things that do connect us in a way that gives us that additional support. And so for me, one of the biggest things in my journey has been remembering that I am connected to other people and the community and support that I choose to receive from other people because there are moments when for our own seemingly comfort or safety, we wanna just block everybody else out sometimes. So opening ourselves up to receiving that support from other people and opening ourselves up to inviting other people into our mess, I think that that's one of the things that is another lesson that I would say is extremely valuable is that it's okay to invite other people into those hard, vulnerable, messy parts of our stories and allow them to be a part of those moments is not just meaningful, but it is what also enables us to continue moving forward. Because, like I said earlier, we're not able to do it on our own. And we aren't alone, we don't have to do it by ourselves. And the third thing that I would say that has been an incredible lesson for me in this journey is that we are not what our past says. We get to create an entirely new future. And that's a difficult shift in my mindset that has taken a lot of time and practice and repetition of not going back to the place that I was at and not allowing the thoughts and beliefs and mindsets from that time in my life to dictate the present and to then impact my future.
Beautiful. I love those lessons. And oftentimes they can be difficult. Like the first one is that you are not alone. I don't know about you, but I always was on the giving end of help, not receiving end of help. And kind of switching that mentality and allowing other people to help you. Because you're right, we don't have to do everything alone. There are people who can help us. The second one is inviting others into your life, into your story, or being able to share. It could be, how you call it? I was growing up with this kind of mentality, like don't wash your dirty laundry outside, in quotes. Sometimes can be difficult by kind of sharing with others and letting them, being open to that and being open to discuss that, because it's considered a taboo that, you're supposed to keep quiet and don't say anything and appear nice. So people, society can see you as this person, and inside doesn't matter what happens. You can break or whatever, but as long as the outer shell looks good to everybody, then it's all good. That's no way to live. We gotta really change that. And I love your third lesson that we are not our past, and this one is so true. Because every time past doesn't actually exist, everything is happening right here, right now. It only exists in the mind, the past. And every time we think about something, the same parts of our brain light up. So it doesn't matter if it happened a second ago or a decade ago. For our body, it feels like it's happening right now. So every time we relive a painful memory, a negative event, we don't just remember phrases of conversation or people's faces. We get to relive everything on a cellular level because our body remembers everything. So when we travel back to that past, we acting like a masochist who inflicts pain upon themselves. And I'm not saying, what other people did is kind of justify them. It doesn't. But what kind of version, or who do you came here on earth to be? And in the grand scheme of things, is it really worth to be obsessed over what happened in the past? Or rather, define a plan or devise an idea of what you want to create and live in that. Focus on things that you want to create, not on the bad stuff that happened and how it can hold you back, but draft some kind of a plan and focus on where you want to go as opposed to where you were. I wouldn't be here with you today if I kind of stayed stuck in the past. I am also a recovering introvert, and here I am having this podcast, another podcast, and I've written books without any English degree or English being, my first language. But yeah, I think it's a very important lesson that our past does not define our future. We can always create something different. In fact, the only constant in life is change. And the sooner we accept that, I think the easier the journey will be, that we're not going to be so fixated on a little chapter in our life and let that one chapter spoil the rest of your life, because you're still young, you still have so much of life to live. And the longer you stay stuck, the less for you to be happy, the less time for you to create what you really want. Love that lesson.
You said it so well. Yeah, it is very much true that we have creative power and get to decide what our future is going to be like if we stop running over and over in our minds what happened in the past and all of the negative, which we default to do that, and we don't have to.
If today's conversation is reminding you that your past does not define your future, I'd love to share a resource that may support your journey. My book, The Gift Inside, explores how life's most difficult experiences can become the very things that help us discover our strengths, purpose, and possibility. Because even painful chapters carry lessons that can help shape who we are becoming. You'll find The Gift Inside in the show notes. Now, let's return to today's conversation.
Yeah. You've lived in several countries and raised 4 teenagers while staying active and adventurous. How have those experiences shaped your outlook on life, resilience, and joy?
There are a lot of experiences in other countries that have taught me some valuable lessons about life. I'm grateful for every opportunity to travel to another country, but specifically the moments of living in another country have helped me have a much more open perspective and have taught me a lot about generosity and gratitude and things that have helped shape who I am today in regards to the way that I enjoy life and see opportunities to learn new things, to go to new places, to meet new people, and to listen, learn from others, be curious. So, those are all things that have definitely influenced me and are a part of the journey being an adventurous person. I have really benefited from getting to do things that seemed impossible to me, like climbing Mount Kilimanjaro and skydiving. Those things were hard in those moments when I was the first time. So I've been skydiving 3 times now. After the first time, I was like, yes, I'll do it again. But the first time, and they were all tandem jumps, so it was with an instructor. I wasn't doing it by myself. But the first time when I was sitting on the wing of the plane and the instructor had said, you're going to be the one to jump, and I'm going to then open the parachute after we've had 60 seconds of falling. And, he had explained all this to me. And I was sitting on that wing thinking, I can't do this. So for me, that was a really, really important moment because I had been training my mind to tell myself, you can't yet. And because I had been over and over telling myself in those moments when I say to myself, I can't, I've got to add the yet onto it, which means at some point I'm going to do it. And once I add that yet, then I give myself permission to at some point do whatever it is that I can't do. And so I jumped. And as soon as I was off the wing of the plane, it was the most spectacular experience. I was so thrilled that the fear completely left. It was like you were flying in the air and there was absolutely no worry at all about not having a parachute open. You're just up there in the air and you feel like you're Wonder Woman, or it's just the most amazing feeling. And I loved it. I loved it so much. I've done it, 2 more times and I already have another paid jump that I'm going to go do soon. But those kind of moments are so valuable to me personally as an adventurous person. Mentally keeps me motivated and keeps me in a place where I can take risks. And we aren't going to ever change if we're not willing to take a risk. We're in process of changing, but we have to let go of what's comfortable to us in order to change. We have to experience those moments of fear and do it anyway.
Yeah.
As a mom and having 4 outstanding kids, my kids are absolutely amazing, and I'm extremely, extremely grateful for them. As a mom, I grew up with the mentality of that's my life purpose. I was taught that by my grandparents and my mom, that my kids needed to be my entire focus, and that was my life's existence, basically. Learning that that's not actually true, and that as a mom, I can give my kids an incredible example of having my own hobbies and continuing to develop professionally and develop personally and spend time investing in myself, that is just as valuable as spending time intentionally with them and doing activities with them. But my world not revolving around them is actually extremely healthy for them and for me. So that has been one of the things that has really shifted in the past 2 years of my life, and being able to make the decision to go on a trip by myself to climb Mount Kilimanjaro, or make a decision to do activities where my kids are not involved directly with it, and allow myself the freedom to continue pursuing the things that I'm passionate about. They get to see me do that, and it fuels their desire to pursue the things that they're passionate about, and I've loved watching that happen.
Totally. I love it. I love it. I love how, you're adventurous, how you are able to do that for yourself. And I think it's important because our role is not just parents. We are also human beings. We are also here to create something with ourselves. And I believe we all have a gift inside of us, and it's up to us to find what it is and share it with others. And when you fulfill your own things, when you're doing the things that bring you joy, you show up better as a parent, as a human to others. So you must fill your own cup first. You must do the hobbies. It's never too late, and you're never too old to have a hobby. I'm a great believer in hobbies, because I think in hobbies we discover different dimensions of ourselves that we didn't know existed, or maybe we put them on the back burner because we think we have this life, and maybe we're working, and finally we will retire when we are in our 60s or 70s, and finally we will do what we want. But tomorrow is not promised. Every day is a gift, and we gotta be there. We gotta be present, and we gotta do something that sets our soul on fire every day. I recommend to people to do 10 minutes of joy. Do something that you love, at least 10 minutes every single day. It's something to look forward to, and it kind of charges up your battery a little bit, so you show up better for others and for yourself.
Absolutely, yes. Really enjoyed. So I'm reading your book right now, The Gift Inside. Okay, I keep wanting to say The Gift Within. It's The Gift Inside.
It's the same kind of
And
meaning.
you talk about, in one of the chapters in there, you talk about hobbies, and you talk about pursuing dancing. And that excited me so much. I was like, yes, that is so cool that Irina chose to step into just embracing that fully. For me, running has been that experience for me. I love running, and I feel so free. Like, people see me out there running and I'm just like smiling, I'm lifting my hands, I'm like dancing around while I'm on a run. And people are so like confused. They're like, I don't I don't know how that is fun to you, but it is fun to me. And I feel like a kid when I'm out on a run, and I enjoy the nature. You challenged me, though, in your book to not just focus on one hobby, to have at least 3. And so I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna find 2 other things that really I can enjoy, and they can be ways that I can continue being more creative and tap into who I am." Because, like you said, it helps us discover more of who we are when we give time to that
Yeah.
intentionally and find that joy. Yeah.
And another benefit of hobbies, when you do something you love, you are really present. Because our life is so
Yes.
fast-paced, we're always somewhere else. But when you're engrossed in your activity, like you're saying, you're running and you feel like dancing, you don't notice the time pass you by. You are really present. Your mind is here, your body is here, and your soul is here. You're not diluted, you're not fragmented. You are right here, right now. And that's the best place to be, to be in the
Yes.
present.
Because after going on a run, my mind is so clear. It just declutters everything and gives me a new perspective when I come back. I also got the endorphins, so my mood is so much more positive after running, and it completely gives me a new perspective.
Yeah. Yeah. Many people listening might feel stuck or afraid to take risks. What gave you the courage to say yes to things like climbing Mount Kilimanjaro or skydiving? And how can others start saying yes to life again?
It's a process. So for me, one of the things to remind myself often is to be compassionate, gracious, patient with myself along the journey and not let myself get frustrated with how fast or how slow I'm progressing. I'm going to get there. And so for those that are listening, wherever you're at right now, that's a good place for you to be. Notice first where you're at. You know, if you go to a mall and they have those maps and it has a little dot that says you are here, recognize where you're at. That's the place that's best for you to be right now. But then look on the map. Where do you want to go? Where do you want to be? And what's going to get you there? For me, when I think about being able to overcome those fears and take risks, it's helpful to remember that feeling fear isn't a bad thing. We all feel the fear. So, in those moments when you're feeling afraid of doing something, that's totally normal. It is natural. Now, it's important also to remember that there are moments when we feel fear because there's danger. And that's alerting us, hey, you need to do something about this situation. But a lot of the fear that we feel is possible. It's possible for us to overcome it. It's possible for us to take action, move forward, do whatever it is that we're, you know, wanting to do. And in those moments, I think the best advice came from Mel Robbins. Some of you are probably familiar with this already, but she says to count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then just do it. And I think that that is really helpful to give ourselves a countdown and then say, I'm just going for it. I like to run, and so I compete a lot in races, in Ks, half marathons, 10Ks, marathons. And when you're at a race, the gun goes off, and you either start the race or you decide that you're going to just stay there at the start line. But you don't have an option. Either you do it or you don't. The gun went off, and so it's time. And we can do that for ourselves with the countdown like that. It's like, okay, I'm either going to do it or I'm not, but I'm not going to just sit here wallowing in indecision, which I think is one of the things that keeps a lot of us stuck at times is the indecision of, am I going to do it? Am I not going to do it? No, just tell yourself, I've got 5 seconds and then I'm going to do it.
I love it. Yeah, I think Mel Robbins was one of my first, mentor in the sense that following her methodology and logic, and I love that analogy of, the countdown. And also, she also says that you only have 5 seconds to make a decision before your mind will talk you out of it. So
Right.
do the, how you call it, the countdown and then just execute. Otherwise, you'll be
Right.
stuck in indecision.
Right.
So true.
I'll also share, Irina, another book that was very helpful. It's by Jen Sincero. You're a Badass. And in there, one of the things that practically helped me was she talks about giving yourself practice making decisions quickly. So go to a restaurant and look at the menu, give yourself 10 seconds to make a decision about what you're going to order, and then stick with it. Don't change your order. Don't decide, oh, I wish I had ordered this instead. Eat whatever it is you ordered and learn from your decision, and then move on, and you'll be able to make another decision from that. It's something that we train ourselves to do, make decisions quickly. And that's a really helpful skill in being a successful leader, being a successful person professionally, personally, in our relationships, not allowing that indecision to cause doubt and really keep us stuck.
Thank you. What inspired you to write your book, The Humility You Want and the World Needs?
There's a couple of things that influence my decision on writing the book, The Humility You Want and the World Needs. It's a topic that not a lot of people are interested in, but I have seen a huge amount of benefits that have come in my own life. And I've noticed how humility has influenced very, very prominent leaders in the world that have had a very positive impact, and how the opposite of that, arrogance, dominance, pride, have had a very negative effect when leaders operate out of that. And so I want to make a difference in the world. I want people to notice how humility can be coupled with confidence, can actually be a really powerful way for our ambition to grow, but be guided with the compass that's going to have a positive effect. So, in my observations of seeing how arrogance and pride can be so damaging, there was a season of my life where I really stepped away from pride and even tried to stifle my competitiveness, the competitive part of me, to stay away from pride. And that left me in a place where I was very passive and tried to stay out of the spotlight. So I had misunderstood humility. I had misunderstood the purpose of humility. I had misunderstood what true humility looked like. And writing this book is a way to help people find what true humility is. True humility actually makes it possible for us to step into doing things that enable us to live beyond ourselves. We don't think about as much the impact that it's going to have on us personally, but we see the greater good. We see the way that we can contribute and enhance the lives of others around us, that we can have an impact in the world that's going to be positive, and that actually fuels and gives us a greater passion to do things that otherwise we we wouldn't do. And I want people to be inspired by that. I want people to see how humility can influence leadership and relationships and our own inner peace. There's practical ways that we can intentionally reflect on and notice and be aware of opportunities for humility to help us be more courageous, be more compassionate, listen better, be more empathetic, make decisions not based on our own personal gain, but on what will benefit collectively everyone that will be impacted by the decision. So there's so many aspects about humility that I talk about in my book that are relatable to a wide variety of situations and to a very wide audience of people.
Would you like to share one example of humility?
Absolutely. There is one example that I love telling this story. It just happened a few weeks ago and was a woman who is reading through my book. And so she shared this story with me. She said, I was reading a portion of your book this morning, and then I went to work and I had a meeting. In this Zoom call was a colleague and a client. I was leading the meeting. I got through the meeting, everything went fantastic, and my colleague made a comment to me in a kind way about something that I could have done differently in the meeting that would have been better. She said, that was a moment when my ego was telling me, just ignore it, move on, like you did fine. There's no reason for you to think about changing anything. But she said, I paused, like you talk about. I reflected on what humility was offering me in that moment, and I responded thoughtfully and intentionally and purposefully, which is what I encourage people to do. Think about what humility is offering in the situation and then respond with intentionality. So she said what she chose to do in that moment was to thank her colleague first. And then she went beyond gratitude, which is such a beautiful combination between gratitude and humility. They really build off of each other. But she said, first, I thanked my colleague for providing feedback, for giving me an opportunity to grow and make some improvements. But then I also took it a step further and asked my colleague to have a session with me where I could role play and practice doing those things, practice making that change. So she set herself up for success by inviting correction, receiving correction, but then also taking action to make intentional change based off of that correction, which has now had an incredibly positive impact, not on only her own personal, like her professional life, but also in the relationship with the colleague, and ultimately a ripple effect of all the clients that are going to be impacted by it, and their company will be impacted in a positive way by it. So that for me is a really, really cool example of humility. Irina, I could tell you so many other stories of where humility has impacted people's lives, but I know we don't have that long today. So
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. If people would like to get your book, where would they go?
right now, my book is available on Amazon as an ebook, a paperback, a hardback. It's also an audiobook that you can listen to. Very soon, it will be available on my website as well, where you can order it directly there. And I'm really excited about all of the people who, if you go and look at the reviews on Amazon, it's so encouraging to see the ways that leaders, parents, younger people have really been benefited by the things that they're learning, and it really excites me so much.
Beautiful, beautiful. If someone is in a season where they feel lost or disconnected from their purpose, what message or practice would you share to help them begin reclaiming their life and hope again?
I do believe that all of us have those moments, Irina, and we experience that desperation. So when we're in those moments, reach out to someone is the best advice that I can give you. And it is sometimes difficult to know who we can reach out to. It's sometimes difficult in that moment because, one, we either think we're going to be bothering the other person, they're going to be busy, they're not going to have time, or we might feel embarrassed about and think, well, this is something I should be able to handle on my own. This isn't that big of a deal. I should be able to reset my thoughts. I should be able to figure this out on my own. And there can be other factors that are going through our head, keeping us from reaching out to another person. But for me, that's been the most beneficial thing, is to connect with another human being and allow myself to be vulnerable. It is something that is difficult when you're in those moments, but it has been so worth it for me to invite other people into that place. And that has really made it possible for me to get out of those places.
Thank you. Such a powerful advice. Reach out to someone. Don't stay stuck. There are tools, there are ways, there are people who can help. Is there anything I haven't asked that you would like to share?
Wow, that's a great question. I do think that there are a lot of tools, like you mentioned, that are available for us. Invest in yourself. It is not selfish. So some of those tools will be available free. Some of them, though, will require you to pay something. And I would encourage you to do that. Invest in yourself. One of the most powerful things for me was being able to go through a course. It's called Authentic Leadership Journey, and a life coach that I know walked through that 12-week course with me, helped me rewire a lot of beliefs that were limiting me and holding me to my past, and open me up to an entirely new narrative for my life. So that may not be the specific course that everyone listening is going to go through, although I would be glad you can reach out to me and I can put you in contact with the life coach who makes that available. And if you're interested in it, it's a fantastic course to go through. But Irina mentioned there are so many other resources. And I know Irina has resources and she herself is a transformational coach. So investing in that is going to set you up for success. The cost of whatever it is that you are deciding to so I want you to understand it's something that you're committed to. When you pay for it, then it keeps you committed to the journey because believe me, in those 12 weeks, there were times when I wanted to just quit. I was like, this is more than I wanted to try to do, right? And the transformation process, like a caterpillar being changed into a butterfly, it goes into a cocoon and it's ugly and it's not a pretty moment, right? There's times along our journey that seem really, really hard. So it's valuable to have a coach walking that journey with us who can keep us moving. And it's valuable to invest financially into that because it keeps us committed to it. And it's always going to be worth it. Whatever the cost is, you have an entire life that is going to be transformed by that. So it is absolutely worth it. So that would be something that I would encourage the listeners to look at the resources that Irina has available to see what it is that is going to be a good fit for you and then be committed to it.
Thank you. And you're so right about investing in ourselves. I wouldn't be where I am today have I not invested so much in time and financially throughout the years because we don't see, I guess, our blind spots. We don't see, we don't know what we don't know. We don't know what could be when we are just by ourselves. And we wouldn't even ask the question if the expected reality matches the idea we have about our life. We wouldn't even open the chapter. We wouldn't ask the question. It's only when your visible reality does not match your expectations or your preconceived notions of what life is supposed to be. That kind of causes you to start asking questions and to seek answers and solutions. And yeah, they come in different forms. So thank you. It's been a
Right.
pleasure to have you.
And I will say, Irina, also for the listeners, if they haven't bought your book yet, that's a great first investment. The gift inside, you're going to learn a ton in that book that's going to provide you with an incredible path forward. So that's a good place to start if you're wanting a first step that's doable.
Thank you. Thank you. And I think your book is also powerful because you say humility is not something we kind of pay attention to, and you open up a different understanding about it and looking into that thing. So it's also important. And Schalee also shares tools in that book as well. So it would be great if you discover it and learn it for yourself or share with others who can benefit. Schalee, it's been
Absolutely. Yeah, I will say the 7 transformative tools that I use in that book are applicable in so many areas of our lives. So they're things that are extremely helpful and beneficial to learn regardless of whether we're applying it specifically to humility or to another area of our life.
beautiful. Thank you. It's been such a pleasure to have you. If people would like to learn more about you, where would they go?
Yes, you can connect with me either on Instagram or go to my website, Schalee Sanchez. I'll spell it for you, SCHALEESANCHEZ.com. You can go to my website, find out more information about my book. There's a children's book that is going to come out in 2026 that I'm co-authoring. Really excited about that. I am in process of writing another book right now. You can find out about my podcast on the website, Flex with Purpose. incredible conversations with people as well. You can email me from my website and so much more. So that's the best place to connect with me.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the work you are doing and for being the encourager and the bright light that you are. It's always a pleasure to have you. Thank you.
It's been wonderful, Irina. I love getting to have conversations with you, and thank you for the ways that you have inspired my life.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us for this powerful conversation with Schalee Sanchez. One of the biggest reminders from today's episode is that transformation rarely happens alone. Sometimes the breakthrough begins with a friend who asks a difficult question. Sometimes it begins when we allow ourselves to ask for help. And sometimes it begins when we finally believe that our future can be different from our past. Whatever season you are in right now, know that your story is still being written. Until next time, keep reclaiming your life, one courageous step at a time.